This weekend has a weird recurring theme with legs. Bailey has injured hers, Conor McGregor broke his, and I can barely stand on mine. It's the Smack Attack. We're here to break down all things SmackDown, the Sunday brunch edition of SmackDown. Money James McIver, alongside my partner in crime, John Enright. How we doing, my man? I'm dying.
I'm
I'm
not.
just,
I mean,
I'm just
my
putting that
boy
on the table
Poirier
right
came
now.
in there and just taking McGregor to. Poor McGregor had to fake a broken ankle just to get out of there. Just
Oh,
because
oh
he's
God!
that replay was nasty.
Did you see it? You just
I
sort of
do. I
like,
did. Last night I was hanging out with some friends and we were at a place that had the fight on, and oh my God, I just and of course UFC does a great job of showing it over and over and over and over
oh,
again. So you
too
watch
many
like four
times.
different, and it's just like, oh my God, just he's and how many? I mean, this has not been an uncommon thing of these. It seems like a rash lately of these guys breaking their legs like right above the ankle,
Well,
stepping back.
that's two leg breaks in the last three shows.
Yeah,
Because the last one was Chris Weidman.
Chris Weidman, yeah.
So, which is weirdly ironic. That one, I don't know. They showed like a replay where he threw a kick, and it was like his foot went into it, like the actual, like if you imagine like his toes went straight into Dustin's feet, and they
Right.
reckon that's where his ankle shifted
Mm,
in the middle of the fight. So it might not, he wouldn't have noticed it at the time, but then as it went on, as he got more tired and lost his balance, it wasn't like as stable as it should have been,
yeah.
and that's when he went over on his ankle, because it looks like he goes over on his ankle, and then he stands on like the leg that was
Yeah.
left,
Yeah.
and it was awful. But
It was.
at the same time, Poirier was just smashing the fuck
He
out of him.
was.
It was
He
all.
was.
It wasn't even close. Like McGregor started off like really aggressive, but then once like it was McGregor that tired out. Like
Yeah.
McGregor tried to say like Poirier shot for a takedown. It was like, hang on, like Poirier put the pressure on, you clinched, took it to the wall, and then fucking pulled guard.
Yeah.
They pulled guard. They tried a guillotine. It was nuts, and it was it was,
Which is Poirier's move. I
yeah.
mean, he's tapped more. That's like his number one submission move. So he's going to know how to get out of it. So I mean, I was never concerned when like Connor's got him in there. I'm like going,
Oh no,
that he's got it. I mean, Poirier's, and then they're on the ground, and he's just, taking poor
he's
Connor to
good.
the woodshed, with good elbows and everything like that, and just,
Did you see Connor's ear? Like
yeah,
proper cauliflower ear from
yeah,
that. Oh yeah.
he got lit up, and then I was honestly surprised that they stood him up, but I guess at some point Dana wants that shot of, okay, let's get them up and let's have them fighting.
Well, I think it was Poirier got pushed off, and McGregor just caught an up kick that sort of
That's right.
off a little bit. He sort of turned his head away for a second, and I think Poirier kind of just went, "Nah, I'll just stand him up. We've got 10 seconds in the round.
Right.
I won't chase it." And then McGregor, if he just kept his head, maybe would have made it to the second round. That's my thing about it. Is he's too busy trying to be the antagonist, too busy trying to be like aggressive and put the pressure on. Like he just went straight at it for Poirier. He didn't give himself a second to like reset. He just went straight for him.
Right.
And then when he missed the punch, that's when he fucked his ankle.
Yeah.
Take a second to like regroup and recover. You probably wouldn't have that happen.
Yeah.
But I'm not bothered about it, because you know what? He's fucked it. Game's over for him. There's no way back. I can't, like, everyone's coming out, a lot of folk have come out and said there's grounds for a fourth fight. How?
No.
Like, I really don't get it. There's no reason for it. Poirier's beat him twice. Poirier has all the cards, so it's like
both times he looked dominant doing it too. Like, let's be honest. Like, there were. I mean, they had Conor McGregor listed as control time as 0. I mean, he had no control time whatsoever. Yeah, he hit all his leg kicks, but I mean, they're fucking leg kicks. Okay, big deal. I mean, I know that they can work a person, but Dustin is prepared for stuff like that. Dustin had a higher punch count. He had a higher connection count. I mean,
he was on him. He was on him.
The stats were just way in favor of Dustin. Even if they would have gone to the first round, you'd have to score that round a win for Dustin.
It would have been 10-8 for Dustin.
Yeah, and I mean, Conor just looked gassed already. I mean, that was the whole point. And when he broke his ankle, I mean, and because I mean, when you watch in real time, it just looked like Conor slipped. Honestly,
he just lose his balance.
Yeah, he just lost his balance, and then just Dustin comes in there and just starts pounding on him. And then, and I got to take that to McGregor. He sees Dustin coming. He covers up, and he's not going to tell him I broke my ankle or whatever. He takes the lickings before the bell rings, and then that's when everybody comes in. He's like, I broke my ankle, and they had to stop the fight. At least I will give Conor that. He did not try to bitch out beforehand. He took his licks before the round ended, and then said, my ankle's broke. We can't continue. So, and I read somebody was saying it's karma coming back on Conor because that was the leg he tried to kick Dustin at the press conference with, or something like that.
Well, it's his lead leg.
Yeah.
So it would have it wouldn't have mattered 6.5 dozen. He would have done it to that. It was the leg that got. This is the thing. This is the leg that Dustin targeted in the first fight as well. Mm-hmm. So it's always been a weak point for him. I don't think McGregor should come back and fight in MMA. Game's over for him.
No.
I think for him, a lot of people will say he deserves a fourth fight. Doesn't deserve it because Poirier smashed him. But then he comes back. A leg break's a really bad injury to come back from. Not a lot of people do it. Anderson Silva was one of the best fighters in the history of UFC at the time.
Yeah.
Broke his leg, and he was never the same fighter. He just wasn't. He was never the same in the ring. Because another thing is that's a target for you.
Right.
Now, if you imagine Conor McGregor, who was always susceptible to leg kicks already and those sort of attacks, Poirier just kind of found him out in that fight. That's a target already. Now, if you imagine weakening that part of your leg, if you've got a highly skilled fighter, if you say a Charles Oliveira or a Dan Hooker or a Justin Gaethje, they go straight for it. They'll just leg kick you to death and then just put the pressure on. It's not worth it. And he didn't really cover himself in glory at the end either. That sort of post-fight interview was a joke. How he was. It's sometimes you just got to accept your fate. Dustin was nothing. Well, I say nothing but class. He did get shots in, but fair play to him. He deserved it. But even Dustin was look, I didn't want it. I hope he goes back to his family safe and well, but you get what you get. Karma's a mirror, not a bitch. And I thought it was a really good line.
Yeah.
But then McGregor started slacking off Poirier and then started getting into it, which I quite liked because Dustin's wife actually went, or his husband apparently, went up and gave McGregor the finger while he was cutting a promo on her.
I'm telling you, you don't fuck with Cajun women, man. They will fuck you up just as bad as a Cajun man will. I'm telling you right now. Just having grown up, Dustin and I grew up in the same town, and man, I'm telling you, you marry a Cajun woman, man, she will fuck you up just as bad as if not worse than the husband will. Man, I'm telling you, it's an experience to be with a Cajun person for sure.
Yeah.
So,
they were not messing about, and you know what? Fair play. Dustin gets a title shot out of this. He was guaranteed a title shot no matter what. So that's the thing. The other people don't consider is this fourth fight nonsense. It's McGregor's gone for a while, no matter what.
Yeah,
Poirier wins the title. There's no justification for that fight to happen while Dustin's champion. None.
Exactly.
So good luck having that. Just send McGregor to boxing. Just let him go box. He had his heart set on boxing. Then you know what? This is the time to do it. Go to a sport that's not going to target your legs and wreck you, and maybe you have a bit of time to look at himself and just sort of you know what? Maybe I've just went about this the wrong way because he lost the head. He went into this. When you see him at the press conference, stuff like that, the little telltale sign, similar to what it was with the Khabib fight, where he was just in his own head, trying to be very aggressive, trying to be the bad guy. It wasn't when McGregor was the antagonist when it was Jose Aldo or the Chad Mendes fight and things like that. There was an element of banter about it. Even the first Dustin Poirier fight, there was an element of banter about it. It wasn't it was annoying and it was sometimes aggressive, but it was still kind of at a way entertaining and jokey.
Right.
But in this one, it was just venom. It was vitriol. It's Jesus, man, you need to calm it down. So he wasn't in a good place mentally, and then it showed in the fight because he just tried too many things that didn't work for him. But it is what it is. He's going to go. It was just good for the sport, I think. The problem with UFC is they'll try and defend it and try and make the case for the fourth fight because they need him. They desperately need him because they've got no else.
Shame. I think honestly, it's one of those things where they have enough. It's just they haven't done a good job of promoting.
Oh yeah, they're not promoted anyone.
They're not promoting anybody. So let's be honest. Poirier could be a star. Especially with he's the kind of person you would want. He's good in the ring. The philanthropy he has outside the ring, just the quality person that he is. That's the kind of person I think you'd want to build around. That's kind of what we're covering right now.
I forgot to put the banner up.
Okay. So, that to me, I think, but when these fights come about, when you watch them on ESPN, it's 90% McGregor, and then Poirier is kind of the afterthought, and I'm like going, no, you need to cover Poirier. He's the guy that's, the good guy that's doing the things you need to. He's the star you need to build around. This is not the guy you need to be built around. Connor's already on his way down. That's the guy you need to be promoting. They want to hang on to this. We haven't seen Amanda Nunes fight in however long.
She fights next month. She fights.
Does she fight? She fight? Okay. Yeah, because I know she was pregnant, right? And so
no, that was our partner.
That was okay.
So she's fighting Juliana Pena in the next card.
Okay.
Next week. Not next month. It's on the Derek Lewis Ghana card.
Oh, okay, that's right. That's right.
And then joke. That's a joke of a main event. Good fight, but Francis Ngannou's getting fucked over big time on that one. It's not like it's got Josie Aldo's in it. Michael Chiesa's fighting, but that's all I know of it so far.
Right. Like we haven't heard from Jorge Masvidal, who's supposed to be the BMF champ. It's you have all these things that you put into place, but that's the thing about fighting in general is, somebody's going to lose at some point. And, you have to build around the person, not the fighter, what they can do in the ring. Because if you're just building about what they can do in the ring, then you're going to miss out because they're going to lose that. You need that person that can not only be that personality in the ring, but out of it. That could be a good ambassador for UFC. So maybe even they've lost, maybe they've retired. George St. Pierre, he would be a great ambassador for the sport. Poirier would be a great ambassador for the sport. Anderson Silva could be a great ambassador for the sport. All these things where they're not utilizing their stars to be ambassadors afterward, to promote and do the things that they need to, so that people will at least go, oh yeah, if George St. Pierre says this is going to be a good fight, well, I'm going to watch it because he was a great fighter. And those are all guys who, I think have great personalities that would be, awesome to have around and help promote your stuff. But, at the end of the day too, from what we hear, Dana does a very good job of burning bridges with people.
Yeah.
He doesn't do nostalgia and he doesn't hang on to people. Once you're done with him, you're done with him. And which is hard because, here's the thing. You've got things like the NFL and MLB, NBA. You have former stars who are ambassadors for teams and for the league and doing all these things and promoting stuff. And yet you don't have that with the UFC. You don't have guys promoting because Dana's like, well, I'm done with you. I don't need you anymore. And chews you up, spits you out, and that's it.
I think we're starting to see signs of it with McGregor.
Mm-hmm.
The way he was with him at the press conference, he was a bit more leaning towards Poirier. Mm-hmm. The weigh-ins was telling because there was a big sort of back and forth that they had on the stage. Not really too sure what it was about. Some people said it was about the T-shirt. It had they all have they've got a new sponsor, so everyone was wearing the sponsor on their fight gear T-shirts. So when everyone came out for their weigh-in, they wore the T-shirt with the sponsor's name on it.
Right.
And McGregor didn't. And I think Dana wasn't too happy about that. But then there was also the whole thing about the face-off. McGregor wanted to face off with him. Dana was like, no chance. You can back after now. You can stay as far away as possible.
Right.
And all that sort of stuff. So I think the relationship's already screwed. So I think it's a matter of time before he's kicked to the curb. Or maybe they just take a break. Maybe they move on, do something else. A little bit like Ronda. Ronda found her time. She went to WWE. It happens to them. Ronda that's it. The best example, Ronda Rousey. It's the exact same trajectory, Went on the rise, dominance, one of the best fighters in the division at the time. Then Holly Holm kicked her in the head and it just ruined her mentally. She wasn't the same. She was different. By that point, it was like McGregor, where he was like poison and venom. That's what Rousey was bringing to those fights. It was just venom, anger, and rage. It wasn't just about winning. It was just trying to be the bully. And it caught her. And then when she came back against Amanda Nunes, similar to the McGregor fight, all the press is on Rousey. Everyone's expecting Rousey to win it. And then she gets sparked. And McGregor loses 2 in a row against Dustin Poirier. It's kind the similarities are there where they can sort of walk away and just say, look, take a break, go and do boxing, go fight whoever, go fight Jake Paul now. You're not getting Pacquiao anytime soon now, so you might as well fight fucking Jake Paul, make some cash.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting to see how that plays out. I know it's just like it's still fresh. It's still like today. Like you're still early morning your way.
Yeah. It's like the fight was last night, and I mean it's now. I think it ended about 10:45, 11. I don't know. It was a late night for me.
It was like 5:30 in the morning for me.
Yeah, and so for me, I think I'd say we're about 8 hours away from it from when it happened, or 6 hours, whatever. So it's it's just one of those things, man. We're gonna learn more, and it's gonna be more developed as we go along. But just our initial reactions, I mean, of course, I went in with my bias of South Louisiana boy making good and cheering for him and for the quality of person he is, and saying F McGregor because he's a jerk, and so
he's an ass.
He's dirty Irish ass, which I mean. I'm not Cajun, really. I mean, I was born there. I'm a de facto Cajun, I guess.
Got it in your veins.
Yeah, but I'm basically like my family origin. The Enright name comes from the Cork area of Ireland. So it's not like it wouldn't be a part of my history, but it's still, it was like, okay, hometown overrules like old world connection. So. But everybody has their bias. Some people are going to look at this fight and they're going to say, "Well, Poirier got lucky because Conor broke his foot," and I'm like, "Yeah, but did you watch the fight?"
The fact it was going to go to a second round's enough. McGregor never once it gets past 2 rounds, McGregor's in trouble. Everyone knows that. So it was only a matter of time anyway. So
exactly.
Well, we'll see on the UFC 264 front. I don't know if anyone watched. I don't know if you watched the whole card, but I don't know if you watched the Sean O'Malley fight with Chris Moutinho.
Is that the one where the guy stepped in last minute and he just took shots and just kept going, and they finally it was like a TKO in the 3rd round, I think. So,
it was bullshit. It was such bullshit. Like he made it. It was like 11 days notice, and he comes in. And to be fair, he did take an absolute beating. He took nothing but punishment for the whole 3 rounds. He took just clean shots, punch to the face, punch. But he got to there was a point in the 1st round where he got knocked down and you could stop it there, it would be fine. But Herb didn't stop it. He let it carry on, and he let it carry on for the rest of the fight until 30 seconds before the fight finished, where he took another shot, that was just not, and he was still standing there. He was still going. This is the thing. He was like, he took punches, but he was still pushing. He was still trying to pressure O'Malley.
Right.
Fair play. He was actually, he knew, I don't think he knew, or I think he did know, but like at least he wanted to give a go, have a chance, and just push on him. See if you can get something out of it. And 30 seconds to go. It takes one clean shot and Herb steps in. Now, I'm torn because, it is technically a good stoppage, but it's a bad stoppage because it should have been ages ago. Should have been 2 rounds before this. But it's also a pretty rubbish stoppage in the sense that, give him the round. Let him finish it. Let him get his moment. That I felt like he got robbed a moment there where he could have just stood out and said, or not stood out and said anything, but you know what? He would have got a bit of appreciation from the crowd. He would have got a few cheers. He would have got a bit of, and you know what? He deserved at least that. But Herb robbed it from him. But it was fun. He got a performance of the night bonus. I think they got fight of the night.
Yeah.
Or one of the fights of the night. So it was good to see because I was wanting him to get a performance of the night bonus after that.
Because he did. I mean, I did watch. So I get up this morning and watch some of the highlights of the other stuff that happened in the prelims and things like that. And that was one that they said stood out was that match. And just watching it, man, that poor kid took a beating, but yet kept coming. And they said, a lot of people said, that they felt he earned another shot with the UFC. Not 100%. That it wasn't that. I mean, he kind of looked outmatched, in the way, but at the same time, the other guy who was already scheduled to fight, I don't remember their names because they're new people I've never really heard of before. The guy was the established guy that was there. Like they were like, he was trying to knock this guy out and he couldn't do it. This other guy was just taking his shots and kept coming and kept going. It was almost like watching a Rocky fight. They were like, I swear to God, this is this is like watching a Rocky fight because this guy is getting taken haymakers and kept coming.
Yeah, well, if anything, it like damaged the hype train a little bit.
Right.
Everyone was expecting Sean O'Malley to finish this within the first round, and it never happened. He just stayed there for that there. And O'Malley's the kind of fighter who's really high level. He was looking to get like a top 10, top 5 level fight, even though he's not ranked yet. He was looking for a high level fight, and I think he's blown his chance. He called out Cody Garbrandt, Cruz. There was someone else he called out, but I was like, you're not getting near them. After that performance, you have to go back a step and work around somebody. I mean, it's probably just a setback. Maybe he's just found someone who's ridiculously durable and just didn't know when to quit. But at the same time, if you want to put someone away like this and you're touting yourself as a knockout artist who puts out all these grandstand finishes and it's the sugar show and all that, you got to do the business. You got to knock them out.
Right.
And, never done it.
But let's be honest, 11 days is not a long time to prepare. So, and this guy, I don't think he would. I think they pulled him from somewhere. Wasn't even a UFC fighter. And how do you? Was he? Is he a UFC fighter?
No. It was. I think he was touted to do it at some point. I think they were looking at him maybe for like an Ultimate Fighter or a Contender Series.
Okay.
But he wasn't like a fully fledged fighter yet at that point.
Right. Yeah. So how do you prepare for some of those are such wild cards. I mean, I don't disagree with you. Yes, the hype train is gone, and it really made him look less than comparative to, what the hype was of, he's going to knock him out. And, but at the same time too, let's be honest, preparation is important, that's part of sports. Is being prepared for your opponent and knowing what their weaknesses are, knowing what you can and can't do against them, being able to take them out and know, okay, if I do this, then this should work. And then, I guess from what I saw from the highlights and everything, after the first round and that kid didn't go down, it's like the established guy just O'Malley never really like adjusted. He never tried to.
He didn't really need to though, because he was dominant. He controlled everything. Like he was on the back foot, so you could say that Moutinho maybe had octagon control, but that was the bare minimum what he had. Because it was the most. I think it was like one of the most significant strikes ever received by like a fighter ever, or was like the highest percentage like of between strikes thrown and landed that happened in that fight. So it was like it was undeniable that like O'Malley, he was doing the right thing. I think he just decided, I'm just going to, once he knew he couldn't get a knock him out, he was just going to showcase what he could do. Because he did do a lot of really good clean shots, tried some nice things. So he maybe just sort of kept it going a little bit longer. I think he could have done a bit more for that there. But he didn't really, when you've got like a fighter like that, sometimes you don't need to. You're just going to hit him clean for the next 15 minutes.
Right.
It's up to him. It was up to Moutinho to make adjustments, but he wasn't. He wasn't cutting him off when he was circling. He just followed and chased him. That's all he done for the fight. So there's some good things, but you couldn't really put it on O'Malley not technically having the technical news to do it. It was more that I think he just couldn't get it done. I just couldn't finish him off. And fair play to Moutinho for just taking the punishment. You'll learn from that, because you'll be like, look, you'll learn you'll have to go back and adjust and learn how to cut people off when they're circling the cage. Maybe doing a bit more on the grappling side of things, just kind of because he's a small guy as well. That was the other problem. He's quite short, so he's got to try and cut the distance. And it was such a hard fight for. But I was quite impressed that he lasted as long as he did. I just felt that he deserved his final whistle moment. Get to the end, and we knew the result. We already knew the result. It was like 10-8 across the board for me. It was just like give him this finish, and let him have a nice night, a nice moment where he gets cheered and gets a bit of respect from him. But hey ho. But that's like the beginning of the weekend of sport that is continuing. Wimbledon's currently on. Novak Djokovic is playing in the Wimbledon final. He's going to absolutely storm that. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah, Barty lost yesterday, man. Barty coming through and winning. She's been off for how long? A couple of years now, right? And coming back and winning Wimbledon. In an impressive fashion too. Let's be honest. That finals match was very impressive to watch. So, it was an interesting tournament this year, to be honest with you. Serena going out early,
I like the first day.
Yeah. and of course you had your issues with the courts and people slipping and getting hurt, and I was watching the Isner match where he's playing and he gets hurt and he finishes the match, but you could tell from that moment forward he was not doing well.
There was a point in the first week where no one wanted to play on center court because it was that bad, it was that slippy, so they just decided they're like, no thanks, but they played it anyway. But it meant that you got some upsets, which was nice.
Which is fun to watch. I mean, and then of course watching Federer go out, which was interesting. I
was gutted. I was looking forward to him getting back up there.
Yeah.
Now we've got to look at Djokovic being the greatest of all time, and he's not as fun as he used to be.
Well, I mean, you got at this point though. I think if I was reading the stats correctly, I think Djokovic now ties Nadal and Federer, or he's one behind them. I think because
he's one behind. If he wins today, he levels with them, and you'd imagine that at his age, he's got a good few years of tournament wins to come.
Right.
So you would argue you'd be the greatest of all time just based on where he's at and how quickly he's done it as well. So
boom. But Wimbledon was. I mean, I think this year's tournament was very interesting, and I think a lot more. I don't want to say watchable, but just how things played out in general, where it was very interesting to watch, and it kind of now makes you wonder about the U.S. Open. How Fed's going to do there. Which Djokovic usually does really good on hard courts. So I'll be interested to see how Fed is able to kind of take this loss in the fourth round, fifth round, or semifinals. I don't remember the round system thing. He just sometimes quarterfinal. There we go. Thank you. How that's going to affect him. And it was very interesting because you had Andy Murray in one bracket, and then Nadal, Djokovic, and Federer all in the other bracket. It's like. Okay, is England once again doing some home cooking here?
Whoa,
let's not talk about the Euros and Wembley and being home.
Hang on, no, let's just address the elephant in the room. You just called Andy Murray English. He's ours. He's fucking ours.
He is Scottish, but every time they put the British flag on when they have the record.
This is it. When he wins, he's British. When he loses, he's Scottish. It's not even funny that they literally do this on the news all the time. Great Britain Andy Murray has won Wimbledon, or Scotland's Andy Murray has got second at Wimbledon. Fuck off, bastards! He's ours. Let him have him. When he won Wimbledon the first time, and Alex Salmond's holding the Scotland flag behind the Prime Minister. It was fucking class. But that was a moment. We should mention the Euros. Moan Italy. Right. I don't want England to win the Euros. I can't have it. And people are gonna be like, "Oh, it's because you hate England." It's not. This is tribalism and rivalry at its finest. We can't have it. Also, you seen how much England talk about 1966? How much? How much? It's ludicrous. Now imagine that, but tonight, if they won Euro 2020, which to be fair they would deserve if they beat Italy, because it's the only if this is a true test for them. I feel like their half of the draw has been poor, considering that Scotland drew with them, and I thought we did really well. We could have won that one, but if you look at that whole group, Scotland included, dare I say, all the teams that England played were teams that they were expected to win. Or have a result against, so I wasn't overly surprised. Even Germany, Germany had at the time maybe you wouldn't expect them at the beginning of the tournament, but then once you got to 3 games in, England should be smashing these guys because they don't have it. They're struggling against Hungary. They were getting battered off at France and Portugal. It was doomed. They were doomed from the start. So England have. People say it's unfair they got Wembley. I kind of lean on that a little bit because. Just for this tournament, a lot of people made the case of oh, what about the host tournaments of the World Cup? Normally, that's it's a bit different because you're not flying from. It's like Brazil. You're not flying from Famalicão to Sao Paulo to Rio de Janeiro. You're not. You're only flying that. It's not as if you're flying from there to there, or a short distance, or if you're France, you're flying from Nice or Marseille to Paris and things like that. Whereas in the Euros this time, you could play a game in Russia and fly all the way to England for a game, and then you might have to fly to Germany, or they tried to keep them all together, to be fair. But like once you got to the second half, depending on where your draw was, you were doing a fair bit of traveling. Unlike England, who did one trip to Bucharest. I think they did. I think they went to Bucharest, or was it? I can't remember where they went. They did one away trip and came. No, it was Rome. They played in Rome. They went away and came back. So it's, you could say, okay, they've played all their games at Wembley, but it doesn't matter because Italy are going to beat them.
That's the hope.
Oh, I'd love it. It was a tough game against Spain. They struggled, but I think Spain were just such a great attacking side, and they found their groove at the right time, and they just started playing some really good football. Italy has never really been faced until the semi-final, so you know, I'll be interested to see how it goes. I think it'll be a good game. Like, as much as I'm not a big fan of England winning the Euros or just winning in general, I'm still looking forward to a really good game of football. I can sit back and appreciate the players that are in there, and you know, being an Everton fan, seeing Jordan Pickford in goal having the Golden Glove is great. Like, you know what? He's going to come back to Everton this season, filled with confidence, and quite rightly so. He's had a great tournament. Apart from that free kick, which was, I think, it's a bit harsh that he got the criticism for because it was an absolute belter of a free kick coming in from Denmark. But it's good. I sort of look forward to it. I hope Italy win. I really do.
It should be
to Blackpool next month, so I'd rather not have to go to Blackpool and have every single person I see there go, "Oh, we got there. We beat you. We beat you." Yeah. Like, didn't he? But okay.
Great.
Home. Great. Hang on. Hope England will win this year and France will be 20. Oh, come on now. Come on, man.
Hey, I'm okay with that. Dirty Frenchies. You know, I mean, as long as it's not.
Man, chat. Hope England will win.
Yeah. Let's put it this way. I would rather England would win than France. Let's put it that way.
France are
dirty Frenchies. Dirty Frenchies. So
we did have a giggle when Mbappe missed that penalty. It was like, fuck.
But you know, the Euros themselves have been very interesting, you know, to watch. You know, I did watch a little bit of the Copa America final last night.
Great result for Messi.
Oh yeah.
And Argentina, but Messi deserves it. You know, he's carried that team so fucking.
You know, and so that was a good match. You know, them in Brazil, classic. You just 1-0, just went after it. I mean, and the way they play, so good. And then the Gold Cup was the Mexico was playing Trinidad and Tobago for the Gold Cup, and so I watched a little bit of that before they kicked over to the fight. And you know, it's interesting because I was talking. So the people I was hanging out with, it's my work partner, her daughter, and her daughter's husband, and they're both opera singers. But Luis also likes soccer. They grew up, you know, Luis grew up in El Paso, so you know, very, you know, he's a big Mexican national team fan, and you know, we were talking about that last night about how really Mexico. He's like, man, we always find a way to screw it up, you know, in the tournaments and World Cup and the Olympics. And I'm like, I said, but think about this, Luis. I said, you guys are the gold standard for the North American bracket. I mean, who's your next best competition? Is what, the United States? And I said, we suck. I mean, the United States is not anything who's going to give you any kind of good competent competition. And I said, so you guys get to coast through, you know, the bracketing and everything like that here. You're going to be the number one seed and the favorite out of the area. So, you know, what the hard part, I said, Mexico needs to start doing friendlies against the likes on a regular basis of Argentina, you know, Brazil. Peru, you know, start doing
Chile.
some stuff, you know, Chile with the people in South America, you know, just, you know, make your own like Copa with, you know, Mexico and then everybody in South America. So you can start getting better that way. I said, because I guarantee you play some of those guys, you're gonna have your work cut out for you, you know. And so that's just kind of where I'm at with it. Is you know, there's some good soccer going on right now. So if you enjoy it, it's let's see.
Loved how UFC used AEW to promote UFC Booker. Well, Not quite.
Yeah.
You've got the right idea, but the wrong promotion. Bellator is that was what that was, because Jake Hader was looking for the Fedor fight. Fedor Emelianenko was coming back. He wanted to fight Fedor, and Josh Barnett wasn't having it. So they're all Bellator fighters.
No, he's talking about on AEW this week.
Oh wait, what?
Dan Lambert was on AEW and talking about so American Top Team because they were in Miami. So Amanda Nunes and Jorge Masvidal. This is why I brought them up because they were on. And
then the coach got slammed by Lance Archer.
Yeah, exactly. My boy shows up. So yeah, Dan Lambert. Because Dan and Lambert had the experience at Impact with Bobby Lashley, so he knew how to work. If you notice, Lambert got into the ring, whereas Nunes and Masvidal stayed out. Because
I would have loved it if Nunes came in and just did like.
No,
did something just like a right hand or Masvidal did like a 3-piece and a soda.
No, so the way it started was Tony Schiavone was introducing them, and then Lambert immediately takes the mic and says, "Nobody said anything about an interview. I thought this place was shit. It's shitty wrestling. I didn't want. If I want to watch wrestling, I'll pull out the old tapes from Championship Wrestling with Florida with Dusty Rhodes, and he's like calling back all this stuff from there, and then Tony Khan was like, okay, yeah, you're gonna hear our fans and talking about the locker room, and we have good young talent with the likes of Christian Cage and Chris Jericho with the young talent and like MJF and Sammy Guevara, and he goes, and man, it's our fans. You got to hear when the fans start chanting AEW, and they were like, okay, and he goes, okay, that wasn't bad, but I still think I should have gone with my gut. And so he's just been running down for like 3 minutes. AEW talk. Oh, and he says, I could, I have other things to do. I could be out in Las Vegas watching my guy Dustin Poirier getting ready to knock the shit out of Conor McGregor, and of course everybody starts booing, and I'm like, no, fuck all y'all. He's right. Yeah. So like in a way of like that. But yeah, no, he's talking about I have run the bet. I have the most successful MMA team on the planet. He's just doing a heel promo. And then finally Lance comes out and just elbows him and knocks him out, puts him up, gets him in the blackout, and boom. And then they cut to Nunes and Masvidal, and they're just laughing. They're like, "Oh my god!" And so
such great teammates. So they're just
their coach just got knocked the fuck out and put on the ground by a blackout by Lance Archer, and they're just having a good time with it. So
that would have been a cool moment though if like Masvidal stood up to Lance Archer and then took a wee step. I don't think they'd ever let him do it, but it would be pretty cool for Lance Archer if like he got to stand off, or even like when you walk by someone and you just sort of stand off, and stay at each other, just have a wee bit of an eye to eye, and then walk away. I think that would have been cool for him, but they never done that.
Yeah,
I know. I totally forgot about that. I thought he was talking about the Hager trying to get in on the Fedor fight, and then Barnett decided no, and I was like, Hager's getting battered either way, so it's fine.
It's like, that was that one. It was great. I mean, of everything that I saw that happened on AEW this week, that was, I think, the best moment was watching Lance come out and block out.
That fan getting kicked in the face was up there.
The what?
Oh, did you not see that? Like the fan tried to like jump in the ring, and then he got fucking decked.
Oh no, I heard about that. He tried to get into the ring in the MJF. Was it the Jericho MJF thing? I think is what it was.
Yeah,
I didn't see what happened. I just heard that a fan just rushed the ring. So
and then the guy apparently went on Twitter and was like tweeting Jim Crutch, saying, "Did you see that, man? This is it. We're making a stand." Like, fuck off.
Yeah,
here's a dick. Don't jump the stands like an arse. That's what spoils it. You don't need that shit.
Yeah,
you don't need you jumping in the stand. You pay the ticket to watch the show. You don't pay the ticket to jump the fence.
Right. Yeah.
That's what you get.
Yeah, which is you should have like was it a while back they had WWE had the 10 times fans jump WWE did this, and the 10 times the fans jumped the railing, and you see them getting their ass kicked or whatever, like WCW, WWF, and the number one
the WCW one with the Hogan one. As soon as like Hogan turned heel, someone jumped the ring, and then you just kind of get out of there. Just kicked them out the ring.
The number one they had though, I think, was when the special needs kid jumped for the Shawn Michaels. It was Shawn Michaels, and I forget who he was fighting. And that kid was, Shawn Michaels. Like he saw that the kid was special needs, and they were kind of being rough with him. And he runs over and he grabs him and he tells him like, it's okay, it's all right. Like Shawn Michaels is in there like doing it together, and they get the kid out safely, which is very, very cool. I think one of the better moments of a fan, because the poor kid
was more sort of like it was just like a kid kind of getting very involved. Like I kind of don't mind that as much. It's still a bit dangerous for them. They should kind of protect it. But I like how they did approach that one. But then you get fans who just like want to try and beat up a wrestler. It's like it's never going to happen. You will get your ass handed to you whether you like it or not. Speaking of the wrestling, should we get into this week's wrestling? Should we talk about?
Damn it! I was hoping you were going to forget. I knew you were feeling a little under the weather, and I was hoping maybe we could talk about all this other stuff.
We could breeze through it. Oh, we could breeze through this because it's not like the most eventful Smackdown, apart from a couple things. I did take some umbrage about some stuff as well.
Yeah,
but we'll get into this week's Smackdown review. It was an interesting one, wasn't it? It was sort of like a little bit of recovery work because we had the Jimmy Uso being done for drink driving, Bailey now out for 9 months, which is fucking rotten. I absolutely gutted for her, absolutely gutted, because I thought she was doing great stuff.
We'll talk CrossFit. She needs to quit that CrossFit shit.
Well, it was in the performance center. She was chain wrestling.
But she does that CrossFit shit. That shit. Does. I mean, it's poor form. It's going to break down your bones and your joints and everything like that. I mean, just how they do fucking like cheater pull-ups, and you're just like yanking your whole body up there. There's no way that's good for your body. And the shit forms they have for like, clean and jerk, or just a regular jerk or a pull or whatever. I mean, it's such garbage to watch. I mean, there are people here that I know that are friends that they do CrossFit and they post their CrossFit shit, and I'm just like, you're great and everything, cool, but go do a regular push-up. You can do 50 of those kipping push-ups, that your body's flailing all over the place, but show me just do a pull-up.
Hold your weight.
Keep
your weight going for a little bit.
And I mean, I'm not saying I'm the greatest at any of that stuff either, but I'm not going to blow out my elbow or my shoulder or, my knees for shit form. I'd rather take my time and build up with the form that I've got than, doing the shit they do. So that I think that's, something that
it probably would have played a part in it for that. It's just the worst fucking timing though. The worst timing. Exactly. Like the best, hands down, you could make a case for maybe Roman Reigns, but the best bell-to-bell performer from the beginning of when the pandemic hit to the Thunderdome closing, you could make for some of her faults here and there. Yeah, she was the best performer that they had through this whole thing, and it's the coldest of ironies that the week before fans are back in the arena, she's gone for 9 months. It's like, she deserved that. She deserved like the fans being there for it. At least, like, why does this not happen like 2 weeks later or something?
Right.
Like, you don't want an injury to happen to anyone, but you at least want, she got like something in front of the crowd. She got robbed of that at WrestleMania. She should have got time in front of the crowd. Didn't get that enough. She got thrown down by the Bella Twins. This was the time, and it's gone.
Yeah,
for 9 months. Rumble period, maybe. What are we on? July? Nah, Rumble's a bit tight, isn't it? WrestleMania.
Because I mean,
she might miss Mania next year.
Yeah, because you got to figure. I mean, we say 9 months, but that's like really intense. Hardcore. Well,
what was Rollins? Rollins was a similar one, was it? He blew out his ACL, or is it the ACL?
And he does that CrossFit shit too. I mean,
so he blew it out, and he was at, what was that? That was about Survivor Series,
right?
And he came back about this time, so it'd be just over 9 months.
Yeah, I mean,
but he was like intense training as well. He probably did intensive rehab that whole time.
Yeah, I mean, if I was WWE at this point, I would tell these guys who are doing CrossFit on their roster, knock the shit out.
Calm it down.
Yeah. No, you go to the performance center, you do what they tell you. No more of this CrossFit shit. Go back to a gym, do the stuff that you need to, because we're not putting up with this. This is
proper functional training. Like, make sure your body's working for itself.
Which is what they claim CrossFit is, but then you watch how the forms and how they do things. It's like, no, you're not being functional. You're not doing the things you need. Like, trying to do a lift while you're standing on an ab ball. How is that functional? Or the Bosu balls where you turn them over and so they're unbalanced. So I'm trying to get my balance while doing it. No, that's just being fucking stupid. That's not, the whole point of a lift is that you're balanced to begin with. You have a good base. Why are you going to do something now? If you're just going to stand on the Bosu ball to try to balance yourself and, make yourself work on your balance that way, that's different. But don't put fucking weights in your hands where you're going to fucking kill yourself. CrossFit gets me really worked up because,
if you're going to do like other workouts, why not do like jiu-jitsu or boxing, things like
something
that?
Something that maybe would apply to your sport, that you could do.
MMA training is such hard work and like it works almost all of your body.
Yeah.
Your entire body. Like even when you're like warming up for jiu-jitsu or when you're doing kickboxing training, taekwondo, like little things like that, like your whole body gets the workout and it gets you in that flexible position, gets you nice and clean and healthy. And, that's probably what a lot of these people need. And they're starting to implement moves like that in wrestling anyway. So you might as well just go with it and just make the most of it. But it was just tragic to see her injured like this. And we're paying the price now, which we'll talk about as the show goes on. But fuck me, did we pay a price this week for that injury?
Yeah,
and it was unfair to us. It was unfair to Bianca Belair. And dare say that the person also that now involved, it's maybe unfair on them a little bit. So we'll talk about that.
Which, by the way, shout out to Serena Deeb. I mean, her being a yoga aficionado, and that's and I mean watching, and when you watch her wrestle, you could see there's some yoga influence there. And man, go that route. If you're a wrestler, go that route. I mean, she looks amazing.
Well, Jericho does it.
Yeah,
he does most of his workouts yoga.
He does DDPY, which is not yoga,
He implements elements of it.
Yeah.
It's enough. It's the same sort of principle where it's like,
I'm just teasing. I'm just teasing because who wants to do that? But with DDPY, you see some of these athletes. Matt Seidel, I know, incorporates a lot of yoga in his workout routine. That's because he's gotten older and still the stuff that he's able to do is pretty damn impressive, So, if you're a wrestler, maybe start incorporating a good bit of yoga into your life, maybe to help extend your career a little bit more. Because if nothing else, just look at Serena Deeb, how long she's been doing it and the level and quality she's at between her character and her wrestling. But, I guarantee you yoga has been a part to help extend her career, so man, that's just a way to go to me. So if I would give, not that I've ever wrestled, but if I could give advice, man, as a wrestler, looks like, man, yoga's the way to go for you to extend your career. So
do what you can.
All right, I guess I've tried to put shit off long enough. Let's start Smackdown.
I don't want to do this. We opened Smackdown with another Roman Reigns belt. It actually opens with Paul Heyman outside Roman, doing this weird sort of like posing with a cam, like taking a selfie in front of Roman Reigns.
Yeah,
so weird.
The sign,
yeah.
But this once again, it goes back to they're setting this whole love affair that Paul has for Roman.
He goes deep this week. He really goes in deep with it this week. Man,
so
gotta fill it back. But so he's taking selfies, smiling away, and then Jimmy also comes in, about to walk into the room. It's like, hey, great, I'm about to go see him. Like, later, and it's the usual. Nah, he's not going to see you now. He'll see you when he wants to see you, which is funny enough. 5 minutes from now, because we've got the opening. Then Roman Reigns comes out, so back to normal service as well. Roman Reigns is back out to talk about Edge. And he said there was a lot about last week he didn't like. The one thing he refuses to stand for is Edge being a liar. And he talks about this. It's quite interesting that, like, a lot of heels don't admit to being scared. Although I did like it in this instance where Reigns is talking about, fear got me, like, for 20 seconds. Like, when I'm getting pinned, there was a little bit of me that had a bit of fear. And I was like, that's kind of true. Like, if you're like Dustin Poirier talked about, fun enough, we talked about UFC, like Dustin Poirier talks about, like, the press conference the other week was like, you go into a fight, there's always going to be a little bit of fear that something's going to happen. You need that a little bit. So it was quite nice it was quite refreshing that Reigns said that but he was like, for about 20 seconds. Yeah. But then I like that sort of stuff. He was trying to kind of dismiss the whole Edge being in his head and all that other stuff.
Right.
And it was like, but he did make a good point. So, like, that fear that he had for 20 seconds motivated him to smash him, stack him, and pin him at WrestleMania, which is undeniable. He did do that.
Right.
And then the other reason that Edge got to him a few weeks ago was because Edge distracted him and because he had family issues to deal with. And speaking of, weird timing on this as well, because it was sort of like, this is a good time to deal with some family business. And then it was like a good 10, 20 seconds of nothing, where he's just standing there, just looking at the stage, waiting for the song to hit. It's like, oh, well, the timing would have been great there. But so Jimmy comes out. Jimmy tries to explain himself, and then it was like, look, I was here, you weren't. It was like, well, look, I was on vacation,
right,
as you suggested. I was actually doing what you should have done and found Jay, which is a bit rough. I was like, Jesus.
Oh wait, he couldn't find Jay because he was drunk and got arrested for another DUI. That's why he couldn't find Jay. Oh my God.
What's your thoughts on that? I saw Matt MSG kind of pipe up to Fox on Twitter about it, and I kind of disagree a little bit. You know, you can't really. It's a tight subject to talk about. You know, he has to deal with his own thing. You know, WWE are a company who have their own wellness policy, so they should really kind of be making an effort to make this not happen. But at the same time, you can't just fully you can punish him, but you couldn't just like detriment your own show at the same time. You've got to kind of be smart. Like RVD, you know, when RVD got done for driving under the influence of weed right after he won the ECW title, they didn't just put their show to the detriment right away. They took their time, they made the decision, and then they worked a way to have him on TV and get him to lose the titles feasibly, and then get him rid of him. And I can imagine they could do the same with Jimmy. Say, like, right, we'll play out their storyline for as long as it needs to do, but you need help. You need to get yourself sorted out and get out of there. I just don't think it's the time for rash decisions where, like, oh, he's been done for this and he's gone. He's paid his bail. He's like in the letter of the law, the business that's been dealt with. There's nothing more to pursue. He's not going to go court or anything like that. It was driving. He's not done any. He's not killed anyone or anything like that. Of course, he's running the risk. Of course, there's the damage that could have been done, but it didn't. They got him at the right time. They got him in jail. He paid his bond, and he got out at the right time. So he's, as far as it's concerned, he's paid his price for the moment.
But I think the issue, and I think where MSG is, this is not the first time. This is like the third or fourth time, you know. And that's the bigger issue, is he's not learning from his mistakes. He's continually do the same thing, and so it's on. So the pressure, the idea is where I see MSG coming from, is if you put the pressure on Fox then puts the pressure on WWE, where they say, hey, do some shit about this, because, you know, we've paid you this money to be on our programming. You need to fix this shit. You know, that's what they're going to tell them. And that's the idea, is you're not going at WWE directly because they'll ignore it. You go at Fox, who will then go, hey, we're getting people telling us that this guy has a problem. You need to fix this shit right now if you want to stay on our programming. You know,
and then they'll be seeing these conversations in general anyway. Like the Jimmy issue doesn't really change that part, because you look at Raw right now, the worst feud they've ever had, and they're going to fix this shit. They're saying it almost on a daily basis, and it's still going downhill. So I get in that respect, but I also think that this wasn't done on WWE's time, so they might even themselves will have an easy out and say, "Look, he done it to himself." They could probably they'll probably devil's advocate. They'll say he did it to himself. We have our wellness policy. We have like our thing where if you want to go to rehab, we'll cover you and we'll put you in. We won't force him. You can't force him to do it just now, but if there comes a time he could do it. Maybe you should force him to go in. It would help him out quite a bit.
Right.
But at this this position they're in, they're probably just like, well, the option's there for him. We can't force him to do it just now, because he's not done it on their watch per se. You know, he's not come on a show drunk. He's not driven to a show drunk. This has been in a time between when they were at the Thunderdome, on his own time, not under anyone's jurisdiction, just on his own kind of life, and it's happened. He made his own mistake for that there. You know, it'd be different if you were like a joiner where you've got a van company van, things like that, and you got done for drink driving, you'd be gone because they won't trust you to drive a company van and everything like that if you've got a charge that it goes against you. But like for there where there is things like Ubers or you can carpool and what have you, there's avenues where like people can travel into the thing. So if this happened on a Friday night, right after Smackdown, right, you got cut in DI. When were you drinking? Were you drinking on the job? Did you come in drunk? That's when you could probably make a solid case where things could get done. But on the technicality of it all, because it's not happened on their watch, they could only really advise them. They can only really kind of nudge them and say, "Look, mate, you got to cut this out."
Well, here's the problem. Here's the problem. So I have experience with this in the sense of my dad running an oil and gas company for 45 years. Yes, what you do on the weekend is on the weekend, but a DUI affects your job.
Yeah.
And so it affects your job, so you can be fired for it. My dad has fired people for drug use or DUIs or alcohol abuse for other things, even though they weren't on company time, because that still affects your job. You're not having to go to court. You're now having to go do these things, and you're taking away from your job, which you should be working because you made poor choices. Now, mind you, my dad's in the oil and gas business, which is infinitely more dangerous than wrestling. And it could cost somebody your life if you're not taking care of your business. So if you're not able to make good choices on the weekend by yourself, if you make a poor choice in the oil and gas business, it can cost somebody their life. And so, my dad was always very staunch about that. And he was upfront about it from the beginning. Look, I know you have the weekends and you have your time and you do what you do. But if you get busted for drugs, if you get caught with a DUI, anything like that, you're fired. No ifs, ands, or buts. To me, this is the same thing in the sense of he's not making good choices now outside of the ring. And so as an employer, per se, even though, yes, he's an independent contractor according to U.S. law, but, he's only contracted to WWE. We can go into all that, however that works. The idea being you work for us, you're making poor decisions that can hurt somebody in the ring.
Yeah.
You either need to go to rehab or you're going to get fired. We're going to release you. That's because this is like the third or fourth time that this has happened with him.
I believe.
Fourth. That's too much. I can see giving him 1, maybe 2. 4 is way too much. That you've done that. So that's where I think the argument falls a little lackluster. Is if it's been his first time or second, I could be a little bit more lenient with it. But by number 4, that there's Ubers, that there's numbers you can call, free taxi rides when you're drunk, all this kind of stuff. Your ass should not be getting behind the wheel. Your ass should be making better decisions. You should be doing the right thing, and you should be taking care of the people around you. Because, I don't care. I don't care what that is. Your job is to wrestle and make good decisions when you're wrestling and to protect other people. And that extends to when you're drinking. I don't care who you are and how messed up you get. It's up to you and the people around you to make sure you get home safely, not behind the wheel of your own vehicle.
Yeah.
And so as much as I can appreciate what you're saying, having seen my dad have to make these hard decisions, but knowing that it's for the best of the company and for the person, the person needs to understand there are consequences for their actions and to take care of those things. That is why my dad did what he did. Not because he's an asshole and he didn't want it, but he has to look out for the 200 other people that are employed that have to work with this person and deal with their decision-making processes. And so, that's just the nature of the beast. And you have consequences for poor choices. And part of it is you can lose your job for this. And so, and he did it on 1. You got busted on 1, done, over. Jimmy's at 4 now.
That's normally what would be the case. Like it's the same over here. I know a few people that got done with got done with drink driving. We've got points on our license. So you get 12 points on your license, and you get banned for a good amount of time. Getting caught drunk driving is quite a high amount of that. But a lot of that, as soon as it comes up and it's words in, if you get banned, because I think it's an automatic ban if you get caught drink driving, that's it. They'll just sack you on spot a lot of places because it's just as you say, it's that thing. For me, when I was talking about Jimmy, so it's more like the devil's advocate of it as well. I think a big thing as well that we've not really mentioned is they're in such a high position in the company, and WWE are so soft when it comes to like higher. When we talk about like Roman Reigns got thingied for a wellness policy, but they stretched it out before he went. Randy Orton's had countless ones. He should have been sacked a long time ago, but he's still there. And Jimmy and Jay are in a high spot in the company just now. So they've got history of this. I mean, Shawn Michaels infamously took somas while he was during his main event run, and he was still like fucked up in some shows. British Bulldog main evented SummerSlam with Bret Hart, still fucked up on crack.
Yeah,
and that's the thing is like they'll look the other way as long as it favors them, and it will always be the case for WWE, and it's a bit of a shame in that sense. So we might not see any punishment for Jimmy Uso anytime soon. If it does happen, it'll happen on their convenience.
Yeah.
Which is the dirty truth of it is like once the storyline's done, when they're like, right, you're going away for a couple months.
Right.
You're going to go into rehab. Yeah. You're going to take your time out. That's what it's going to be.
Yeah. No, Noddy, I think I don't think it's because he's trying to help him. I think he's trying to get as much as he can out of him. It's the dollars and cents of it. Yeah, and it's the connection to Roman Reigns aspect. Like we said, kind of like you saw in the '90s with the Cowboys, the Dallas Cowboys. Jimmy Johnson would cut low players for anything, But yeah, Michael Irvin and some of these guys are getting caught with cocaine or whatever. Like, okay, well, we'll figure it out, and we'll make it work. But yet, a guy comes in and who's on the bottom lower rung, and he nods his head because he slowly took a quick nap, and Jimmy Johnson cut him on the spot. I mean, where's the difference between the two? A guy does a head nod in a meeting and gets cut on the spot. Michael Irvin gets caught with cocaine and hookers, and it was a poor decision. Well, we're going to get him the help he needs. It's always been the case. We favor those people that are going to help us and provide favoritism to us. That is just the nature of the beast of the United States. So, I mean, we didn't really talk about the segment much. We just kind of went into that. So
there's not really much to the segment as well. We should have finished it off, tight off as well. Like Jimmy comes out, Reigns talks about how he went and did his job for him. Jay comes out and he's like, "Look, I'm not here for nobody. We should do what we do. Try and come back to be 7-time tag team champion. You're right, man. Man's back. Let's just work together."
Yeah,
family. Oh, that made my stomach.
When we were as one, nobody can beat us. It was just
and it was just that. And then they did a group hug, and Roman Reigns had this weird sinister look on his face.
Yeah,
as if to say, "I've got them." So we'll see more of them tonight. Don't you worry. We'll come back to them. Then the fucking saddest part of the show, and I never thought I'd say this, Baron Corbin. It's such a shame, and you know what? It's so well done, but it's such a shame. Of course, recapping what happened last week. He's in rock bottom. He needs to win Money in the Bank. He's done it before. He needs to get food on the table and this. He's looking very disheveled now. Notice that he's like his hair growing a bit, and he's getting the beard going on. It's like, oh man, he's not good.
They're going to do a homeless gimmick on him or something like that. Oh yeah, and before the match, Shinsuke and Boogs are driving in his G-Wagon.
Oh, it's like, I can't believe how cheap we got this at auction. It's like, oh, come on, man.
Yeah.
Like, it was a bit like, mate, this is too much. Like, you're supposed to be the baby faces here. Stop being dicks. It's like, this is what I was taking it as. Like, just stop being dicks.
And so here's the thing that I find interesting. All right, so these are all Money in the Bank qualified matches, but these are all matches we have seen for the last 4 weeks. And it's so frustrating because why couldn't we get Baron Corbin versus Kevin Owens, and why couldn't we get Shinsuke versus Sami Zayn? Why couldn't we just mix these up mix it up? And yet we're getting these same matches over and over again. The only thing that was different this time was Big E is out there on commentary, and he's got his couch
with foot massages.
Pat McAfee comes and joins him at the couch with the foot massager.
That's so cool.
Which was so fun, dude. I'm telling you, this was, having Big E on the side doing commentary is always great with the fridge right next to him and the foot massagers. And like when Baron Corbin and Shinsuke go out, that's hey, we're just on our first soak. Don't come over here. We're on our first soak. And then Pat is just doing the whole, gimmick and getting into it. And then at the end when Shinsuke wins.
It's when he jumps on the table.
Yeah, he's sitting on the couch and then works his way to the table and just doing the whole
what a guy.
The guitar thing. Oh my gosh.
Pat's gonna get some good reactions next week when crowds come back. He's gonna get some good reactions.
Yeah. And I mean McAfee is made everything worth his weight in gold. I mean, really, he's just done such a great job of being that fan and telling the story from the fan's perspective. Really, he's done an incredible job of doing that and making it much more enjoyable to watch, to watch. I mean, honestly, when he got out of his position and sat on that couch next to Big E, it was like you had these two guys just having a fun time and Cole was trying to keep
just
up.
Do normal commentary.
He says, I know you can't see it, Cole, because you're over there. So we're here. We're it's so like the fact that, Pat just said that, called out Cole that he's just sitting behind the desk, not, oh, you can't see that, but what we see here, we're seeing this. And, it was
fun, but
that made it enjoyable. The match itself was it's nothing we haven't seen already.
I like the triangle choke spots. I like that, but that was sort of all you got. There's nothing new. That's the thing. Not a lot of new things happened in these sort of rematches, and it never does. It's a bit of a drawn out process.
Yeah.
I feel a bit sorry for Baron Corbin just in general. It's like he's now not winning at all.
Right.
I don't know what they're trying to do with him. Are they trying to turn him babyface? Are they keeping him heel?
That's what it feels like.
Build sympathy on him.
It feels like they're doing a turn where Nakamura is going to become a heel, and that Baron's turning the babyface.
Makes sense to have him a heel like this. It's such a weird call. This weird storyline. I don't know where they're going with it. Maybe it is going to be King of the Ring eventually. Maybe we'll get that. We'll get some redemption, but. It's just it is what it is. But it was a good match. It was fun, and Pat McAfee made the difference for that one.
Yeah.
But that's all we can really say.
Him and Big E being out there really made the difference. Big E
does a great job for that.
Yeah, he really does. Both of them do it. Like those are two just bottles of energy that you're just when anytime Big E comes out to do add commentary to something, it just makes it that much more fun. He has that thing that you just want to watch him, and that charisma that's just a ton of fun. And then him and Pat McAfee together were just brilliant.
Magic.
I really would watch something with them two doing.
Yeah. Are you gone? Oh, there.
No, I'm not here. I never left.
Oh no, I just sort of went a bit weird, but but we'll push on because there's some things we've got to talk about which I'm not too chuffed about. Quick backstage segment. Jimmy apologizes to Jay for everything that's happened before. Jay says it's cool. We're brothers. These sort of things happen. But let's just get back to business. Then they chat about whether they should deal with Edge before Reigns has to deal with them. And that's it. Then a match in a segment that should not have happened this week. Should have happened next week. Should have happened this week. Fuck. It was good for them, but it was fucking wasted. They could have done it next week. It would be well better. Natalia and Tamina come out with a god awful. It was not good. I watched that whole thing. I was like, man, guys, you make an effort, do something, try. I was like, oh, so we've been brought out here and we've been told our opponents are. I'm knackered and I'm coming out with the same sort of energy they did.
Yeah,
our opponents are total different people. We've never wrestled before. They're like the gall that they should come out and we'll deal with them. And hey ho, great debut. Yeah. Shotzi and Knox. Shotzi Blackheart and Tegan Knox, which is a great debut.
Right, which I found interesting though, because Shotzi has been pairing with Ember Moon. And I mean, I know
literally just come back.
Yeah, she's just come back. So does that mean down in NXT they're dropping Ember Moon and Shotzi and it's going to be? Are they going to be a Freebirds rule type thing? I mean, I know because they can't technically brought back Ember because technically she was fired from and whatever, and she's back on NXT, so she's an NXT property. I get maybe that's the direction they were going with,
well,
but
I think the Shotzi move's permanent.
you
Tegan
think?
Knox, I think she's going to be staying up here now. I think there's nothing for her in NXT now. Job's done. Job's a good one. Whereas you got Tegan Knox that's come back, and she'll probably have her feud with Candice LeRae, or whatever, and then call it a day and come back and stay permanent on SmackDown. I think it's time. The SmackDown need talent. They need people. They need a women's division, and we lost Bayley. Sasha Banks hasn't shown up. We're very thin on the ground after the releases. We're forced. Their hands getting forced here, and we get these two debuting tonight. Tony Storm's due to debut at some point, as they announced this week as well, which would be interesting to see. I'm looking forward to that. But this match in itself, it was a quick match. They got the win. Great result for them. I think they deserve the crowd. That's my only kind of thing about it. Is I care less about this because there's no crowd. They deserve the crowd for this debut. What you're stifling them a little bit. It's like, do you want them to do really well? Do you want a big reaction? Let them have a big reaction. Don't hold it back from them. And so we're setting up the next challengers for the tag team match. It was all right. It wasn't a great match, but it was quick. It was so quick.
Yeah.
So we'll probably get a series from then. Edge.
Do you think that they're going to set something up like that? And do you think they're going to be up permanently, or do you think this was just kind of they wanted to fill time and they need to do something, so they grabbed these?
I think this is permanent. You can't. That division's in tatters right now. They need as many people as they can get. They really do.
I don't disagree with you, but like at the same time, knowing Vince, and he's going to be looking at Shotzi and being like, "What the fuck is this? I don't get it," And
he might.
Who knows? But
stranger things have happened.
Stranger things. I mean, yeah, I know. Like Baron Corbin wasn't much in NXT, and then he comes to the main roster, and look at what he's become. And then you've got other guys that come up from the roster, and where's Keith Lee? By the way, Texas is on Keith Lee.
I think there's a thing going on about the rights to his name.
Really?
Last I heard, the rumor on the grapevine for me was that, but that'd be interesting to see what happens. But yeah, it's a bit of a weird one. It's just, I think you need them there. And now they've got the win, they have to stay. They can't just not disappear.
Right.
They've got to stick around for a while. So it'll be cool to see what they do. There's honestly not much to talk about in this one because they just appeared, won a match.
Yeah.
And the next segment happened. It was as quick as that. It was bizarre. Give them a crowd moment. Give them the crowd. And maybe they realized it as soon as it happened. They're like, we should have got this when the crowd were here.
Yeah.
Unless they've got something big planned next week or during Monday night.
I mean, I looked. I mean, they posted some of the card for next week, and I'm like, okay. Once again, like you said, why couldn't this have been on next week? And that's just like, okay. Well, I'm reading an article here that says, Shotzi, Blackheart, and Tegan Knox apparently recognized as Shotzi and Knox explode through the curtain on the former's tank, announcing to the world their call up to the main roster. Yeah. So apparently this is they're now a part of the main roster. So
yeah,
they're no longer going to be part of NXT, which I find interesting. Not that I don't dislike either character. It's just Tegan has a history of being injury prone. Shotzi has a history of doing some really stupid shit. So
put them both together. Let's see.
Let's see what happened. So but the person gave this an A who was writing the same article. So I'm like, how much do I want to believe this right here? But I just personally, okay, we need more people. This wasn't the thing that really excited me per se. But like you said, it could have been next week. Why not just make that happen? So, give
them more. Give them more.
Give them an opportunity to be in front of a live crowd and do that. And so, and then the Sonya Deville.
We've got a quick note of Edge talking about whether Reigns has a Jules to come back to the ring by himself later tonight. So we're already setting up this call out that. Yeah, let's get to it. Again, this has literally been written off paper and you reading it. But she announced that Bayley injured 9 months. We talked about that earlier. Here's a thought. I think Bayley could do commentary.
Yeah, I could see that.
I saw somewhere they were like, you know what, get Bailey on commentary with McAfee and Michael Cole. I was like, I'd be cool with that.
That would be
I'd be
cool.
very cool with that.
Yeah, but here's the thing. All right, she's going to be back, so she's building up her heat. She's keeping her heat because when you're on commentary, she's going to be a heel commentator, and McAfee's that in between. Whenever someone comes out, he kind of defers to the other person and sides with them. We see that later with Kevin Owens when he comes out for the other qualifying match. We see that he kind of defers to the wrestler that comes out. And so, which is interesting to watch. So it'd be great to see her as just a heel commentator, just dissing on everybody and just continue to build that heat and momentum. So she's not out of the picture per se. But then if you do that, could that hinder her recovery time? Because she's having to stop that day, go to Smackdown, do commentary for however long she's sitting, all that kind of stuff. Would that be ideal for her in her recovery? That's the only question I would have.
It's a tricky one. I think she's a good place to do it though. Like they've got a really good medical team and stuff they've worked.
Well, but if they were still in the Thunderdome, yes, I could see that. But they're going to be traveling now, so that means she's going to be traveling with a busted leg through an airport to get to Houston next week to do commentary, and then wherever they're going the next week, which would mean Houston. Then you got Fort Worth, and then you got Dallas. Back to back, boom, 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 and those are going to be they're going to be short car rides, but they're going to be car rides that you do that. The Houston is a 4-hour plus drive, to get to Fort Worth, and then Dallas is 40 minutes to an hour from Fort Worth, depending on where you're going. So. That's in a car, that's hotel. How are you going to get your rehab in those periods of time? Those are all things you got to factor in when you are dealing with someone who's hurt. So, I don't.
I mean, they don't have to necessarily do it right away. They could give her time, and then once she's starting in that sort of tail end of the recovery phase, then bring her in commentary,
right?
That sort of thing,
right?
Or you can routine it, you can schedule it, you can train it as well. I think they've done this in the past with wrestlers where they've sent away and they've been injured, they've taken time, they've sat on the desk and they've done their work. And though it's tricky, but they are doing like one show a week. It wouldn't be like every day they're performing. So there would be some form of leeway, but I would imagine they'd kind of pick and choose their times as well. It'd be you could even bring her back occasionally to do like a ding dong house segment if you wanted to do like Piper's Pit stuff with her. But it was just an interesting idea. I thought it'd be quite fun to see what she could do with that. Yeah, God willing, we need someone who can do promos because this show is boy,
and no naughty. I agree with you. Shotzi killer stuff. She's not ready, but the reason why she and Tegan Knox are up is because Bailey's hurt, and we
need bodies.
We need bodies. The roster's thin, so you do what you have to do. You have to bring them up. They are the most over things in NXT right now, so they're going to transfer over to the main roster easiest. So that's the way it's going to work. Whether they're ready or not, here they come because the roster has been decimated. We have no women's tag teams, so we're going to have to raid the NXT pantry to make everything work. Which unfortunately then we get the announcement of what's going to happen with everything. And this was so brutal. Like
so bad. It wasn't even funny.
It was the worst.
This is the kind of segment that made me want to just stay in my sick bed today.
Yeah.
So if you're just joining us, I'm very ill today. But so I'm not even going to do a whole review of what happened. I'm just going to break down the key points. Bailey, Sonya Deville came up, said Bailey was injured. They had to find a replacement. Bailey cut a promo, which was really good to say that, you know what, I was doing this for you, the fans. I was training for you, and this is all your fault because you don't care. Like, great stuff. It was great.
Yeah.
It was really well done. She was sort of kind of playing off the knee injury, saying like, I did it in training, but I did it because of you, because you're my fans, being the role model and all that. And then saying, look, you know what, it's all your fault because you just didn't believe me or something like that. All and you cut back to Sonya Deville, who said like a decision's been made, and this is where this is where it dropped off because as soon as said it was like there is another opponent, it won't be at Money in the Bank. I'm like, fuck off. just make it a Money in the Bank. Just make it. He had the match anyway. Like what?
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, so they have the match next week on SmackDown. It's going to be Bianca Belair defending her title against Carmella, who came out and then she was trying to didn't even get much to say. She was going to say I'm the most beautiful. Then Liv Morgan comes out, which to be fair, she could have done better with this. Like she had the right kind of promo, but just the execution wasn't great. Shame. Come out saying, look, this is unfair, this is favoritism, why is she getting the opportunity? She's not even beating me, I beat her twice. How come she's getting this opportunity and I'm not getting it, the Money in the Bank? And then Sonya just went, shut up, you're in Money in the Bank because you beat her or whatever. I can't remember what it was, but like, you're in Money in the Bank.
Yeah, it's like basically she's moving up to the title and you beat her twice, so you're in Money in the Bank now. You know, like if you shut up, if you'd have let me finish, I would have said you're taking her place in Money in the Bank because Carmella's got the shot for the title, you know, because you beat her twice. And
Carmella got the McGregor treatment.
Yeah.
Or as Mahesh Path calls him, the corner of my ankle was a balloon McGregor treatment. I was in the back pocket there. Thanks for putting that comment up. Thanks for the joins in the chat. But yeah, it was just like, this is a bad promo. Then Bianca comes out and it's like, well, if you're not injured, this is dumb. If you are injured, I don't like you, but I respect your competitive edge. It was like, fair enough, cool. Yeah. And then it's like, I'll see you next week. Holds up the tail. And I forgot to mention Liv and Bianca Belair had a moment where they looked at each other and Liv looked at the title and maybe you're setting up Liv winning Money in the Bank. Cool.
Right.
Yeah. Bad. Poor segment. Poorly
it really was. It was probably one of the worst segments I think I've seen in a while on SmackDown.
You don't need a promo where you absolutely did not need some kind of stiff presentation. It was this one because you need some like genuine thought behind it. You know, like we have to kind of be open and honest. Not be like, Bayley has been injured. Just like, look, we've been an announcement. Bayley's been injured. We need to make a decision. You know, speak like a normal, like speak like a person. Speak like someone in this position would speak, rather than being told your script and being out. I thought that was just poorly executed, and it could have been done better. It could have been done better. Yeah. But you know what? I want to move on for this because
please let's do that.
Let me just see, where are we? I'm falling behind a little bit on my notes quickly here. But Paul Heyman comes up to Roman Reigns like, Reigns, my tribal chief, there's a problem. Edge is going to call you out tonight. He's going to play his punk card on you. But Reigns, my tribal chief, questioned your manhood. It's like the intense. That was the promo, by the way.
Yeah.
And I had a good chuckle at it because it was just like, oh my god, like
Paul Heyman,
proper puppy dog eye about it. Yeah. It's like, oh, don't do this. Don't. He said these mean things about you. No. And so we got a bit of an intensity from Roman Reigns. We'll get back to that. Don't worry. And then we have another rematch. Hooray! To be fair, it was a pretty good rematch. Cesaro versus Seth Rollins for the Money in the Bank spot. Cesaro cut open hard way.
Yeah.
I'm trying to figure out when it happened because I thought it was when he got DDT'd on the ramp, but it wasn't.
It was around there though, because when he came off, when they finally got away from the ramp, that's when he was hard with. He was gushing. And I think what happened was it was delayed because when he took the DDT, from what I remember, it looked like he had his arms down, and then when he rolled over, that's when it happened. When he rolled back over from the DDT, but you couldn't quite see it at that moment. And then they cut back to him, and he's bleeding, profusely from that point forward. Supposedly from the DDT, because it's on the metal part of the ramp there.
Yeah.
And so it wasn't like super obvious, but it was definitely interesting, if nothing else.
Yeah.
To see that point right there.
And he played it off quite well, which I quite like. They kind of fed it into the story of the match, which is really well done. So obviously that's top stuff. But again, there was some spots in that match that kind of led to it and contributed to that. But I thought it was just really well played out. They done quite well with that. Kevin Owens in commentary was quite nice, scoping out the competition. Made a good point. Said, look, I've won Money in the Bank before. held championships. So,
do you think when he's done with the ring, do you think Kevin will become part of the commentary team?
Yes. Does he become part of their commentary team now? That's the question.
Right.
I think he'd probably be more suited to AEW than he would be. Yeah, I think an AEW or an Impact would be a bit more in terms of commentary style, in terms of like being able to flow and get things out. It might change by that point when he does move to commentary, because we're seeing things like Pat McAfee really getting out there, Jimmy Smith on Raw. We're getting a bit more of an open flow style commentary, whereas right now, I don't know how he's good for feeding questions to and responding, but once he's like the color commentary guy, you can't just keep feeding him questions and responding. You'll have to do a bit more work.
Sure.
But so I think he could do it though. I think he could be a really good commentator. He's so eloquent, very eloquent.
Yeah.
He can get great points across. Where I think a lot of these guys, like Samoa Joe, showed it. Like if you've got a little bit of flow to what you can say, you can speak clearly, you've got a good opportunity to like open up doors. So when you finish wrestling, you're not done.
Yeah.
So, but it was fine. He did a good job here. I thought I was enjoying what he did for that there. The match itself I thought was quite good. I quite liked the Phoenix Splash, the Suplex Phoenix Slam, or we call it. When he just when Rollins usually picks him up for the driver after doing the suplex, but then Cesaro's like, yeah, that's the Falcon's Arrow. That's what I'm thinking of.
Yeah.
But then like Cesaro just picks him up the other and does it himself, which is really fun. And then it didn't matter in the end. Cesaro was trying to get momentum, but he was just so knackered. So he goes for the uppercut. He just collapsed, and because it wasn't enough power in it, Rollins just runs over and puts a stomp on him, gets him 1, 2, 3, and then gets really like over the top celebratory about it. Shades of Kurt Angle a little bit. Went away. He was like, "Woohoo! Beat him! Actually beat him! I'm undeniable." As if he hadn't lost previously to him, but fair enough.
Do you think they made the right choice here? I mean, with Rollins going into Money in the Bank over Cesaro, I found that
it's so tricky because I think you could have had both.
Yeah,
I think you could have had both. So I'm a bit worried for Cesaro. What's going to happen with him?
Because he's taking a few losses here now. It's like all of a sudden he's gone down real fast, and so I guess for me, because I didn't quite understand that spot where Cesaro had him up in the suplex, and then they went over the rope.
That looked so nasty. By the way, when it looked like Rollins bumped his head off the mat or something like that because he was holding his head after the spot. It looked awful, and it's one of those like, why would you do it in the first place sort of spots? Like, why would you even consider it? It was madness. It was absolute madness. But they done all right. They done a good job.
Yeah.
Well, I say they done all right and a good job. That was not a good job. Sorry, I am spaced out of my face right now. Everything's decided to just slow down on me here. What's going on? What's happening? Can you still see me?
Yep.
Can you still hear me?
Yep.
Okay, that's fine. Something weird happened to my laptop there. Cool. But yeah, it was I'm totally spacing out. But the spot was just very dangerous. For the most part, it did really well. But then they do dumb shit like that, and you're like, why?
Yeah.
Why are you doing that, guys? Bit of a freaky move. I'm interested to see, because I know they were trying to set the next segment, Rollins celebrate. I love this segment really, but we'll mention it first off. What the crux of it was, Rollins celebrating. He's saying he should have got the match with Roman Reigns, and he's going to win Money in the Bank, even though he shouldn't have got it. He should have already have the briefcase, and he's going to maybe cash it in a Money in the Bank.
Yeah.
And it's teasing that little match with Edge. It was teasing a match with Edge, which we were maybe expecting for SummerSlam, which I'm totally down with. I'm very cool with. I want to mention something in this promo though, because Edge, when he's doing all this gloating, and then what am I saying here? Yeah, when Rollins is doing the promo, and then Edge comes up behind, so like I thought I heard this sort of weird whiny chat going on, and just as he finished it, he goes, "Yeah, Kayla." He points at Kayla. I was like, the comic timing was excellent on that.
Yeah.
So I thought it was really, I thought they did really good. I'm excited for that potential match. I think it's a match that it's got a lot going for it. I think how they set it up will be interesting. I don't know what they're going to do for that.
I could see, because we talked about why are they doing Edge now after being so long, because they got the live crowds. Maybe Edge wins at Money in the Bank to get that pop. Which, by the way, my girlfriend's oldest son is going to that show because, they're sitting nosebleed, and the person he's going with is paying for half of his ticket because that's what they can afford. So it's $250, so he's having to pay $125 for sitting in nosebleed up in the Dickies, and
still too much.
Yeah,
still too much. We talked about this.
We did talk about it last week. So, which is just funny.
Watch the show.
He's like, I'm gonna have to watch SmackDown and Raw to kind of keep up. I was like, or you can listen to the Smack Attack and you can just get an idea.
We would also saved you about $125 as well.
Yeah, but no, this is they do this. Apparently, this is a coach that he's done this with, and they all like wrestling, and they go to the shows. I was like, man, you could have at least waited to go to Raw and the next day and paid $28 for a ticket to sit in the nosebleed to watch Raw. He goes, yeah, but I didn't have to watch Raw. I was like, fair point. Fair point. At least it's a Money in the Bank, so hopefully it'll be a little bit better than what's going on. But it was very interesting because I was like, okay, so he's like, well, I'm just not interested in watching. He said, I did watch some AEW and I'm kind of liking what they're doing. I was like, really? So what is it about AEW you like? He goes, well, like some of the characters are a little bit more interesting. The things they do in the ring, he likes. And, I just found it very interesting that this is the audience who AEW is working towards. This 18-year-old kid getting ready to go to college, focusing on that kind of thing. They've got him interested in what they're doing. WWE is just plodding along, and he's going because basically someone paid for half a ticket for him to go, but he doesn't really have any interest in watching. He does remember people like Evan Bourne. When I talked about Matt Sydal, I was like, oh yeah, Evan Bourne, because we talked about a few things, but he remembers a lot of the older stuff, from a few years ago, and not anything now because WWE hasn't done enough to maintain his attention to what they're doing. And so, which I found interesting, that's the case. He's not saying that, he doesn't like WWE. He's just saying they just don't do anything for me as far as holding my attention. But yet he's still going because it's tradition. When you think of wrestling, you think of WWE. And I told him, hey, AEW is in a couple weeks going to be in Garland. He goes, yeah, that sounded cool, but it was just more of WWE was the thing you do. Yeah. And so, I just found that interesting. And so I said, well, hey, do you want to come on our podcast and talk about being in a live event and a live pay-per-view? He goes, no. I was like, oh, you turd. All right, fine, whatever.
Dude, you can pay $125.
Yeah, I know. Well, he owed me for so this I'll share this story. So 4th of July was, last weekend for the United States, big celebration. A lot of cities will put on fireworks shows. So he drove out here. Well, my girlfriend and their youngest were with me out at the lake in East Texas with my parents. And so he drove to Hudson Oaks, which is a city right outside of Weatherford, for what they had, the Boom and Forth. Well, he brought their 2 dogs who are very skittish little dogs. One of the dogs got away and ran away. They could not catch the dog. He calls us around 10:30 at night on 4th of July. Mom, I lost London. Can't find her. She got away and she's just really fast. We couldn't catch her. I don't know where she is, but I'm going home. And so he left because he was with his dad, who's, not necessarily the greatest dude in the world, and a cousin, and, they just left. So, then I'm helping my girlfriend saying, post on some Weatherford lost pets and things like that. And then it got to be about Tuesday or Wednesday this week. And maybe, it was Tuesday or Wednesday. I can't remember what day. But she calls me. She says, hey, there's somebody that they think they saw a black and white dog on the side of the road on the interstate, because the interstate runs right by Weatherford. But the dog wasn't alive. And then she's like, can you go look and see if it's London? It's like, okay, but I'll tell you what I'll do, because where they're at, the Weatherford Animal Shelter is right there on the way in, the Parker County Weatherford Animal Shelter. I'm going to go by there. I'll look and see if London is there, see if they picked her up or anything, because it's been a couple of days. And then I'll get on the interstate if nothing's there. So I get on go by the shelter, check everything. They check the intake forms and then just walk through all the dogs. London's not there. So then I get on the interstate, and the person I just kind of gave them general directions. And so my girlfriend got a hold of her and she gave me specifics. So I'm on the interstate. I said, okay, let me go turn around, get off the exit I know what she's talking about, and see. So I'm in the left lane and I'm driving, and then I don't know where. I just know it's somewhere on the interstate, and I see the black and white dog. And I'm like, okay, I see a black and white dog. I got to turn around again because I wasn't expecting the dog where, it was at on the interstate. So I had to go run all the way around, go back to the same exit, come back. And she says she had on a pink collar and a blue leash. So I pull up to the interstate, stop, and it was her dog, dead on the side of the road. And so, I came prepared. I had a box and lined with a trash bag, to put London in. And I was just going to take, she doesn't really have a vet. So she's like this Pet Smarts, minute clinic kind of thingies for the pets. So I pick up the dog. I've got my gloves on. I've got work gloves and everything. Put her in the trunk of my car. And then I have to make the decision. I go ahead and call my vet for my two dogs. And I explained what's going on. They said, okay, you just bring her in. We'll get that taken care of for you. No big deal. We're sorry that we're having you're having to deal with this. And then I call her and I have to tell her that this is her dog. Yes, it is London. But it was good that I did this because her son was tore up too, that day when he came home from work, and he felt like, he just felt like shit, which, part of me as a dog lover was like, good, I hope you feel like shit. This dog should not have to have lived her last days running, scared from the fireworks, getting out to the interstate, getting hit and dying on the side of the road. That's kind of, but at the same time too, he's 18. I get it. You make mistakes, but this is where my love of animals sometimes overrides my love for people a little bit. And so I got her in the car, and of course she had been dead for a couple of days. So she's bloated, and the smell was awful. And it was in the back of the trunk of the car, but still, after I make the phone calls to everybody, then I have to roll down the windows. I get to my vet, which isn't that far, thankfully. And they shout out to Dr. Paula Folan and the veterinary service out here. They did an amazing job taking care of her. And so I paid for the cremation. They're going to do an urn and everything like that, which is about $185. So then he, in turn, paid me $185 back to kind of cover those costs. Because he lost the dog, and so he's had to pay for other things. But Friday when they came over because she brought some food that I had given her, and she's like, we're not going to be able to eat this before we leave, because they were in North Carolina for a week visiting her dad. She hadn't seen her dad in a couple of years since they moved there, so they're up there. And so James came because they had to work on their cars to get ready to go on this trip. It's about 1,000 miles one way. So they're just trying to make sure their cars are good, taken care of, ready to go before the trip. And so, he said, oh, hey, by the way, he was trying to be real chill about it. And his mom kind of called him out about it. Hey, don't you have something to do? Well, yeah, but, but he basically gave me $185 and said, hey, I'm, just thank you for what you've done. I was like, dude, I'm just glad I was able to do it for you. You did not need to see London in the situation she was in. You would not have recognized her. I said the only reason why I was able to recognize her was because of the collar and the leash. I said, other than that, she was bloated. She was, it was not good. And so, he's just like, oh, thank you. I just, hey, it happens. At least we have closure. We're not wondering where this dog is. We have an idea of what's going on. So it was a tough one that day, and still a tough week to have to deal with that. But then, it always is with your dogs, when you have pets and you care for them, no matter how that day comes, it's always a tough day, I know with my 2 beagles, at some point that's going to happen, and it's going to be a tough day, however they go. So if you have your pets, love your pets, because to me, they dogs especially are the epitome. God created dogs to show what unconditional love truly is. I mean, it's amazing sometimes dogs can be abused and still care for their owners and care for their people sometimes. Or to be able to show love again after being through terrible situations. So if you got a dog, love on that dog. So that's kind of I just want to say about that. I don't know. You're gonna have to talk to the Ayatollah bin Hameen Buckshot Kid. We normally run on Saturdays, but James had wasn't feeling too great, so we took a day. And
yeah. So that's kind of the reason why I was on Sunday this week. Last couple of weeks ago, it was a scheduling thing with work, and no, I was working family stuff. I had this week. I'm ill. I'm so fucking ill. This is the most active I've been in about 3 days. So
Impact Attack is not dead. It's just
it's still going.
It's still going. They're doing their thing. So we're just borrowing a slot for a little bit here. So okay. Anyway, so we got dog talk. So guys, I'm sorry. The show was just not the greatest to talk about. I mean, we're getting redone matches, and we're getting for Money in the Bank, and we're getting just awful.
But we're at the end, though. We're at the end.
At the end. Thank God.
Man, my body is crumbling while we do this.
Yeah.
Edge comes out. I'll just get straight to Edge comes out, cuts a promo on Roman Reigns, and he talks about how he's exposed the cracks in the table.
Mm-hmm.
Or how he's done that. He just sort of beat the crap out of Jimmy Uso a couple of times. He says he's going to chuck at anyone who's his way. Backstage, Roman Reigns and everyone's watching what's going on. Obviously, the hyped up this big call out that was going on. No, thank you, Buckshot Kid. Thank you for watching. That's what matters. That's what the important part. So you're appreciated. Like us, we thank you. And so we're getting that stuff. And then Edge sort of says, "I'm playing my punt card. I'm calling you out." And it's sort of like this weird backstage segment again, where it's like, okay, I'm gonna go. Mm-hmm. And he takes his belt, walks away, and then Jimmy and Jay just look at each other going, this is our chance, buddy. This is the time. We're gonna get him. Then there's was that a break? There was a commercial break, wasn't there? Because it takes fucking ages.
Yeah.
Ages to get Reigns from wherever he is to the ring. And as he's walking to the ring, the Usos appear and stand behind him as if they were going to jump. He's like, no, I'll take care of this. I'll take care of it. Why are you coming out? Like, what's the deal? So they talk it out, and then Reigns comes up, jacket off, stands there, and then they just have at it.
Whoa, language, man.
What am I looking at here? What do you mean language?
Language. You said jacket off.
Oh, jacket, like jacket.
I know. Yeah. No, I'm just fucking with you. I'm sorry.
I'm too slow for this today.
It's okay. I'm having some fun with you. That Hey.
But aye. So they have a scuffle. They scrap it off. They have a battle. Then the Usos try to get involved. Well, no, they don't actually. I tell a lie.
They get on the ring. They get on the ring apron.
They get on the apron because the Mysterio's music then hits, and they think they're coming from the ramp. But then Ray and Dominic come with chairs, and I thought it was a pretty cool moment. They hit them with chairs simultaneously, double smash, and all hell kicks off. They all just beat each other up, back and forth between the Mysterios and Usos. So you're guessing you're going to get that Money in the Bank, possibly. That's the only thing I could make sure of. But they did the kick. Where am I? I'm losing my space here. No, it was a bit of a scramble anyway, wasn't it? Because the Usos kind of get the upper hand enough where Jimmy grabs Edge by the leg, but he gets stomped away, and then Reigns is already rolled out by this point. Oh, he's gone. Oh, you're there. Are you there? Hello?
Yeah.
Oh, right. Okay. You worry me. Your thing just went. Oh,
yeah, yours did it before mine is. I don't know. It could be my internet. It could be yours. I don't know.
Yeah, sorry, but it was you know what, I'll just get to the point because I'm just talking round in circles. Get to this point. What we want to talk about is the visual at the end because Edge gets the pole from the chair and does the crossface on their faces like he did at WrestleMania, and the Usos do it so well. They sell it so well. While he's doing that face and got that big wide look on their face as it gets done, and as he does this, Reigns walks away. That's the last thing we saw about the show. And I thought that's such a strange contrast of how the show started and ended. They're all back together again. They're all best pals.
Yeah.
And then by the end of it, Reigns just leaves him hanging. Good family member stuff there. All right, ending, I suppose. Edge on top. Mysterio's on top. We've got a position now where the Reigns family, if you want to call it, the Samoan dynasty, are in trouble. They're not as unified as you want them to think they are. So there's a lot of kind of soul searching they're going to have to do. So it was an okay ending. It gave us a spot to look at for Money in the Bank, but that was about it.
Money in the Bank.
Yeah. And that's what it's leading to for that. Yeah. Sorry, I have completely dropped off the cliff in this last kind of 10 minutes or so. I really do apologize, everyone, for that. That's just the lack of energy I've got just now. But it's Smackdown this week was a bit meh. And I think because they had to play the cards that they were dealt a little bit. We talked about that, you know, with Bayley being injured, then the whole DUI stuff and what have you. So it was a bit hard work for them to put this show together. They could have done better. I mean, we did the Shotzi and Knox stuff where they could have done it next week. We could have mixed up the matches for the Money in the Bank matches. There was a bit of just kind of playing it safe and then just going too soon as well.
Right.
So I'm interested to see how it's going to be next week. First SmackDown with a crowd. You know, we're going to be doing a show. We've talked about it. We're going to get in the process of sorting it out. I think we might not do it this weekend coming. We might do it the following weekend once we've had about, you know, everyone's had a go of like SmackDown, Money in the Bank, Raw, and all that. We can do we're going to do a get together of some personalities, not just us. I think the vet's going to come on and join us for it as well. Might get some other people just to kind of talk about this Thunderdome period as such, or the pandemic period, and then the transition into this. What's it going to be like? You know, I think after these first few shows are going to be really interesting to watch, especially the SmackDown. The SmackDown's the first one of them all with a crowd, so it'll be interesting to see what they do, because it's going to be a lot of work now. They're not getting free passes. There's no sound. There's no one pressing the button for the sound anymore. There's no people who are being told what to do on a screen anymore. It's like these are real life people who are going to be unknown quantities that you can't control anymore, and it's going to really affect the show. It's going to affect what happens for the next how long. So things that they might think are working really well, and you might even get the impression that they're working well just watching it on TV. As soon as it gets further crowd and it doesn't get over, what do they do? Do they have to like go back to the drawing board? Do they stick with it? So it'll be an interesting. That's what I'm kind of more keen to do, not next week, but the week after, once we've had like a week's worth of live shows. We'll know what.
So you're talking about the 24th.
Yes, I think that's 24th. Yeah, you're right. The 24th would be the day we do it for that. Let's set in stone. Let's do that as a Smack Attack where we do the round table, and then people will have something to look forward to. And me too. I think because there's been a lot to dive into, a lot of kind of opening doors, especially with Raw. I don't worry as much for SmackDown as I do for Raw. Raw's in a bad shape. Bad shape. Like almost like an unstoppable downward spiral. Bad shape. You know, last week was our worst rating ever. It could be worse this Monday coming. Yeah. There's no reason for it to be any better. There's no reason for it to get any better. True. Drew McIntyre saying his sword was made by the tooth of the Loch Ness Monster.
Yeah.
That was just, come on.
That was stupid.
You would say that, or if he really meant the truth of the Loch Ness Monster, which is that it's a tourist trap. So it got made by the shitloads of money that we make from, you know, people spending money coming to see the Loch Ness Monster. That would be my sort of satirist joke about it. But unfortunately, no, he said tooth. He definitely said tooth.
Yeah.
Bastard. Fucked it.
Of all people, you're going to have Drew McIntyre, who you try to make legitimate for the last year, do that.
They fucked it. That for me is the game's over.
Yeah.
Like, what are we doing? We got to try and come back from that. there was no even any need to have that line. Just to set up a match with Jinder Mahal. Remember that. Jinder Mahal. Man, wrestling is... no more pics of Benoit or beheading. Oh, Lord, was that something? Jesus, I totally forgot about that. That's why this whole controlling the crowd thing came from, wasn't it? When people figured out their power and just went, we'll just put these like videos and crazy things on. And like, if those things didn't happen, do we have the Thunderdome that we got for the past couple of months? That's actually worth talking about on that show as well. Like, there's so many elements to talk about. I'm quite keen to get Rad Rob back on. Rob Francois, because he's had first-hand experience of working the Thunderdome. We did do a podcast with it, but I don't think we did get as much time as we would have liked to do it with Rob as we could have. I think we could have got a bit more time with him to talk about his experience with the Thunderdome. So it'd be nice to kind of get some opinions in. And of course, you, the chat, will be doing it live as always, hopefully, so you can get your opinions in, get your comments in, and we'll just have a big old chin wag about the past 18 months of madness and what's to come, what's to happen. No mail sack this week. I'm stunned. My fault, probably, because I didn't put the call, so apologies. But again, I think we do quite well on the show with the chat. If you get involved, we do get involved. So I suppose the show's turned into a big, long mail sack these days. Anyway. Essentially. The smack sack, the sack attack. The sack.
There we go.
That's where we're at. Yeah. So is there anything else you want to talk about today? Anything you've got on your mind? Or before we close on off here, I think we're kind of getting into the tail end of it.
Yeah, no. So I'm still working with Jackson, trying to get back. He just got entered into the Texas Grand Prix put on by our friend Kiefer Bartek, who came on. He's grabbing some of the best of Texas locally, and Jackson has made the cut. So Jackson is going to be in this Texas Grand Prix tournament that is going to determine who is some of the best wrestlers in Texas. So it should be really neat to see that. So working to get him on and to get his thoughts on a lot of different things. If you're not watching his stuff, make sure you're going to YouTube and Jackson Stone. He's got some great stuff going there, great mental health stuff and everything like that. And of course, his mental health tips. He does a great job with those as well. As a matter of fact, I've got one for us from this past week. So let me pull that up for us. Let's see. Here it is. You are loved. It's a men's health mental health tip. And guys, this is important for everybody. Asking for help is strength. Having emotion and displaying those emotions in a healthy way makes you tough. I know you may have been told or taught that, but it's okay to cry. But someone needs to hold you, or that you need to take a break. Of course, sometimes we need to be strong for our loved ones or take care of our things, of the people around us. But it's just as important to prioritize our own well-being, especially our emotional well-being. Just know that you are not alone. I love you. Cheers to all my dudes. Let's encourage men to speak up, not man up. I hope you have a fantastic week. Take good care of yourselves. Much love. P.S. You are loved, and thank you for being here. So that's our mental health tip this week from Jackson. Guys, share your emotions. Find those people you can trust that you can do that with. Not only do I have a therapist that I deal with, but I also have friends who are going to do that as well, that I can share with. So make sure you have that in your life. It's just as important for guys to know how to handle those things. So you make sure you're showing that proper emotion. Don't stuff it in. It's going to cause more problems than it will help. So and once again, Jackson's always on point with his stuff. YouAreLovedLife.com. Make sure you go check it out. Hey, Wolfers, you can always reach out to me. I know it's trouble, asking for help, but I'm here for you always. I say it every week. If you need to, you can get a hold of me through all my social medias, JReezyMen, TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, and then John Enright on Facebook. Or you can always email me, john@freedomhousepc.org, and we can figure that out and how to get best to get you situated. But I'm always here for you, my man. And if it's the same Wolfers I think, we actually connected through the Voices of Misery podcast. So if I'm remembering that properly, but my brain is pretty shit, Wolfers. So if that's not right, then my apologies. But that's the important thing. I kind of gave my socials there a little bit just to let you guys know that's where you can reach me, get a hold of me. All right, good. Thanks, Wolfers. Thanks for making sure my brain is not shit because it usually pretty is. So that was that. And I guess I've got all my stuff covered because, I'm looking forward to the live show with the panel with everybody. Talk about with the live shows being back. I'm kind of looking forward to next Friday, to be honest with you, just to see how Houston handles a Smackdown.
How Smackdown handles Houston.
Yeah, right. Yeah. How does Smackdown handle Houston, Texas, and Texans in general? Because they're going to have 3 days of Texans, man. And I mean,
ooh, baby.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, you piss off a Texan, man, it's not going to be pretty. So, it'll be interesting to see because, like the one thing I think I wanted to point out that like the whole Roman Reigns thing, they had the boos going and you sucks and da 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 da. But once again, it's gone. Like what if just to be contrary, everybody decides, yes, this is the Roman Reigns we want. So they're cheering him and like, doing that instead, like we love what you're doing with Jay and Jimmy. Hey, you're great. Go ahead. I mean,
we love you now.
Yeah. It was good stuff. I don't know. I'm looking forward to just seeing, I almost in a way WWE scramble, with the live crowds because they haven't done it for so long. So, which I don't know. Did you watch any AEW this week with the live crowds in Miami?
No, I heard they were quite lively though.
Oh yeah,
like, they were quite forgiving.
Yes,
the feedback I got, like the Aleister Black thing and the Malachi Black stuff, where they kind of played off it still, despite it being a bit. Well, they said it was a thing that technical difficulties was planned, but I do not think it was. So I think they were quite responsive. So that was good. They were quite responsive and supportive, but that's a different crowd than what a WWE crowd.
Yeah,
I think AEW crowds, even at their worst, have favorable crowds, like very favorable crowds. That's.
Buckshot Kid, his comment.
Oh, for fuck's sake! This is it. He's done it. This is where it's begun.
He's
El Chupacabra.
So Ember
El
Moon,
Chupacabra. He's gonna be like I'll be like a dagger.
Monster Hunter. Yeah. Well, it's funny. Ember Moon's husband, Matthew Palmer, he is got a gimmick now here in Texas where he's the Monster Hunter. He's going around different promotions saying, "Hey, do you have a monster or an undead creature? I will fight them and take them out because that's unfair." And so I will be the Monster Hunter. And he comes in like with these potions and whatever because he's a D&D player as well. And so like he's got like potions that he drinks to help Hulk him up to fight these monsters and stuff like that. And it's a great gimmick. It's awesome. He's got this kind of crazy look and white hair now and it's kind of done in like a wizardly kind of way. And he's like, it's unfair to have these monsters in your promotion. So I will gladly take them out for you. I am the Monster Hunter. Like, I'm telling you. You just look up Matthew Palmer, Monster Hunter, and I'm telling you some good stuff right now. He's doing. There's a guy here. He's kind of a clown. His name is Malico. Kind of a crazy kind of clown like thing. And they did a cinematic thing that's actually really really good. So it's definitely worth checking out. Once again, Texas, just the wrestling scene is just so great here. But yeah, so. I imagine WWE coming in, all of a sudden Drew is the Monster Hunter. He's getting the different cryptid artifacts. And, I've got the Chupacabra bag of holding. And I've got the, a Mothman wings of levitation. Oh, I'm sorry. I know Drew's your man, but they killed it when he said it's from the tooth. Oh, God, I can't even say it. I'm sorry. I can't even say it. It's just ridiculous.
Oh, dear. Well, I can get a bit mad now and again. Wrestling is all crazy.
Yeah, this is crazy.
Right.
Take it home. I'm tired of doing this.
Oh yeah, I'm tired in general. I'm in pain and I'm tired. But if you've enjoyed the show, apologies for being off can. I will be back to life next week, hopefully. You can get in touch with us anyways. You can see it in the ticker brown below from us there. You can get in touch with us in many ways. You can get in touch with us by email at smackattackhammymedia@gmail.com. I'm offline. If you go into Twitter at smackattackhmg, you can find us on the Hammy Media discussion group channel on Facebook as well. So if you've not on it already, why are you not? Why are you watching the show? You should already be on it. That's how this whole thing began when we made a Facebook group. Get on that. Join the chat. There's so much content that we get on that. Everyone gets their opinions in about wrestling, conspiracies, MMA, all the things you like. We do pick'ems for big pay-per-views events. I think we've got a pick'em coming up for Money in Back next week, which will be good. So get involved in that. UFC chats we did last week. William LSC has been setting up chats for all the Euros games as well, the Euros and Copas Americas. So we did a lot of chats in that. So get involved in that as well. The HMD Discord, yes, you're absolutely right as well, Gamble Force. If you can find the Hammy Media Group Discord server, I don't put that on here. I should really do. It's another good place to find us. We've got a nice Smack Attack tab there as well. So if you want to get in touch with the Smack Attack, you can leave some comments here. I will read them. I do look. I do check. I will check again. So get involved in always. We'd love it when you get in touch with us. That's what the show's about, especially when we do these shows. We love it when you get involved. That's why we went to the live sessions as well, because it means you get more interaction with us, and that's where the fun comes. That's where the best part of the show comes. So please do get involved when we're not on, when we're on, anytime. We're here for you. We've already mentioned that, so get involved in that there. If you want to watch us, you're on the Hammy Media YouTube group, or you can follow us on YouTube, Twitch, Hammy Media on Twitch. You've got Bin Hammy on YouTube and Twitch. You can go onto your favorite podcast provider and go to the Hammy Media Group affiliates page where you'll find so many great content. You'll find the Suck by Balls South Park podcast, the NFO Star Wars podcast, of course, the Academy Star Trek podcast, an absolutely fantastic show that John Enright hosts alongside Triple D. We talk all things Star Trek. Some great stuff. Some really, if you're like really heavy on Star Trek, it's great. But see if you want a little bit of help to kind of get your head around some bits of lore or things that you never even thought about before, it's so good for that as well.
By the way, Big Ray has started watching Star Trek.
He hasn't he?
He started with Next
Generation.
The
videos up on that there.
Yeah, he's doing season 1, and so we're gonna have him on to get. So he's never watched Star Trek before. So, and it's interesting. He started with Next Generation, not TOS. He said he's gonna watch Next Generation seasons 1 through 7. Because he's got the Paramount app, so he's watching it through that, and then he's going to go to TOS. So I'm like, okay. And so we said, after you finish each season, let us know, and we'll have you on the show and talk about what your experience for the season is and what you thought, and everything like that. And
he's already called Q the greatest tweener in Star Trek.
Oh yeah, which he is.
Okay, yes,
he really is. Yeah, Q's the greatest character in Star Trek. The fact that I mean, let's put it this way. He was in Next Generation. He was in Deep Space Nine. He was in Voyager. Yeah, he was in Voyager. And now he's in Picard.
I've not actually caught up with Picard yet, so I'm up for that.
Yeah, so the most recent season 2 trailer shows him actually talking with Picard, like, hello, mon capitaine. So if you haven't seen the latest trailer for Picard season 2, he visually makes his appearance and it's not just a little the Queen burned out Q thing. It is actually him and their thought theories of the road not taken for time. Like, what if Picard would have done this instead of this? And so could he be his guide as they go through time? But they're saying time is broken somehow. So there's a whole thing going on with that. So it looks fun. Anytime John Delancey and Patrick Stewart get together and they do the show, it's
such fun.
It's such magic. He really does. Coming in as that cute character is such fun. When he did it on Deep Space Nine, it was great. When he did it on Voyager, it was great. And everybody's interactions with him, so good.
Chef kiss.
It's really it's the written character, but it's also John Delancey and how he performs it. That's really what does it too. So
and it's worth saying that you guys have done an episode on Q.
Yeah, did we?
I think you did. Yeah, I'm pretty sure you did an episode on Q not too long ago.
We've mentioned him a lot. Mentioned him a lot. So I mean, with the amount of mentions that we've talked about Q, he could have had his own episode. But I don't know if we've actually done a full episode of Q.
I've got my.
So. But you know, like I said, my brain is pretty shit. So
yeah, mine's just frying right now. But I'll get through. I'll persevere. I'm going to bed after this, so it's all good.
until the finals come on and you watch England lose to Italy,
and then that's it. I'm just gonna give up. My body will just release itself. It's over. No more. Thanks for the memories.
Yeah.
GG everyone. GG. Where is it? Complete episodes. There was one that we named it Q something.
And you could be right. I don't know.
Yeah, there was one you did. Where is it? Yeah, it's Q Who. There was one in May.
Oh, okay.
That was that one. So that was the 20th of May edition. You can go back and listen to that on the Hameen Media Affiliates podcast channel. You get it wherever you get your podcasts from. We are moving to the Realm Network as well. We will be. I don't know what's going to happen with the Smack Attack. My current understanding is we're going to be here still. We're still going to be doing our business on the feed, which is good, which is a good plan. But we'll probably have some more leeway into doing some stuff with the Realm Network guys as well. So if you've not already do that, get on top of that. Get on top of the Patreon content as well. You've got the A Show, the Beautiful People podcast. So much great content. Stevie Ray's got a podcast as well. The amount of stuff we do in Hammy Media Group is insane. Rip Rogers on the Hammy Media Patreon as well, by the way. FR podcast is great. There's so much content, so get in on it. If you've not done it yet, do it now. Do it now. Do it now. Now. Do it now.
Exactly.
And then it's worth doing. So jump on the show for that. Yeah. That's me done with my selling. I've put my pitch up. I've put it there. It's there. You know where to find us. Keep looking. Join us as always. Anything else? We good? We good to rock and roll?
I think we're good.
Cool. Well, you know what? Thank you, John, for getting me through the past couple of hours. I've been sick as a dog, but you've made it much more bearable. I really enjoyed this. Been a great chat with you as always for that. Yeah. Thank you to the chat. Thanks for getting your comments in, getting your questions in. We always love it when you do that. So we always look forward to seeing from that there. So we hope to see you all and yourself as well, John. I hope to see you all next week, probably on the Saturday. We'll be back to normal Saturday service next week. We will see you next week for another edition of the Smack Attack. Cheery.